Heather Weindorfer. Not really. Yeah, I follow on Facebook, but doing well. Yeah. I don't think the one you coached. Yeah.
She was.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
So, all right, we have head coach Erica Dombach and senior captain midfielder Nicolette Dries. We'll start with an opening statement from coach.
Well, good morning, everyone. It was great to be back in action this past weekend out on Jeffrey Field. Every year it's exciting to be the first sporting event in the fall season. We benefit greatly from being the only show in town, and this year was no exception. Obviously, with over 5,500 people showing up at Jeffrey Field, creating one of the best atmospheres that I've ever seen in college women's soccer. I was really pleased with the performances from our group this past weekend against West Virginia and Hofstra, and obviously we're all excited to be back and playing at home again this Friday night. So I'm thrilled to have Nikki Dries with us here, our senior captain, and excited to get started.
Raise your hand and we'll give you a mic.
Coach, the end of the season, you played unbelievable defense. Do you see you being able to build that kind of thing again this year?
Well, I think obviously our defense is going to be different this year. We've got different personnel in 3 out of the 5 spots right now, and that's going to create some differences. But again, I think what we saw this past weekend is these players are already coming into that role. If you remember back to the early part of last season, that was not the case with our defense. We had a lot of growth that needed to happen in a very short period of time, and that's going to be the case again. You know, we had a lot of young players last year in that back line, and under the leadership of Britt Eckerstrom, we were able to grow quickly. It's going to be the case. Britt Basinger is going to take on that role. Elizabeth Ball is going to take on that role. So it was an evolution last year, and I would say our starting point this year is pretty similar to where we were last year. The question is, where will the end point be? And that still remains to be seen.
Charlotte Williams obviously had a huge game Sunday. In what ways has she grown since her first year in the program to now? For both of you guys, I guess.
Go ahead, Nick.
Well, Charlotte coming in, she was young, and I think that we all saw the talent right from the start. And I think over time she was getting into video sessions, doing the work on her own. You see her out there early every single practice. So I think that her hard work has paid off, and you could definitely tell.
She's creative as it gets, and she's 2-footed, shifty, and it's tough to tackle her. It's tough you've got to chase her down to tackle her, and that's not easy to do. Typically, when you see her dispossessed, it's because there's 3 players around her, and that's been a goal of ours, is to limit her touches a bit, and that she's evolved in that as well. So I think she believes now that she can do. She's showing what she's capable of doing, and she's got a tremendous upside. She was a skier in high school, so she's just figuring out. She's playing year-round for the first time in her life, and she's only going to get better.
So, Nicolette, how heavy have the expectations felt on the entire team after the way you guys performed at the end of last year?
Yeah, well, we were clearly performing very well, winning national championship, and coming off of that, you don't really know what you're expecting. But I think that coaches have done a great job driving the standard and setting the expectation, and I think that we've developed that standard for everyone, the freshmen coming in, and we all just have bought into that. And, you know, I think that if we can do that, then we'll be very successful.
This is for Coach and Nicolette. Coach, last year at the College Cup, you talked a lot about wanting to be the best team on Sunday and kind of the mentality that's going into scheduling a lot of Sunday games. For both of you, just kind of talk about, you know, what the transition is and how the week of practice looks, knowing that you're going to be playing usually sometimes a Friday and then again on Sunday.
Yeah, it's been an area of focus for us over the course of the last few seasons. One of the things that we've changed is early in the week, we tend to talk about both opponents so that we've wrapped our minds around the fact that it's a 2-game weekend. And obviously, in all sports, you want to make sure that you focus on the next opponent. But in this particular case, you've got to make sure that you wrap your head around the fact that we've got to put in a strong performance on both days. If you're successful on Friday and you don't have success on Sunday, then it's all for naught, you know. So I think in terms of the way we handle their bodies, the way we handle our training, their mental preparation, we make sure, because that Saturday turnaround is quick, and oftentimes it's a regen session, it's recovery, and I would say this past Sunday, the standard wasn't as high as we need it to be. We've got some work to do in the mentality of Sunday matches, and we understand maybe the pace isn't going to be as quick, or the engines aren't going to be as strong, but there's still a standard that we have to uphold, and like I said, we've got some work to do in that area still.
How do you think teams are going to approach you, Penn State, differently than they did last year, after all, being national champions?
Well, we've certainly earned the right to have a target on our back, and we've got to embrace that. And I think this team's done a nice job of embracing that role. We all know what it feels like to go out on a Friday night against defending national champions. Everybody thrives in that environment. Everybody gets excited. They get up for those games. And we feel that. We feel opponents certainly coming after us in the early part of the game. So we've got to make sure we're prepared for it. We match that intensity and grow on top of that as well. But we've got to be prepared to see everyone's best match. And that's the right that we've earned.
Erica, for you, the demands or expectations on you changed at all in the last year after getting an extra little something on your resume?
Just a little something. Well, since this program started in '94, obviously the standard has been high. 4 years later, they're already winning Big Ten championships and won the next 15 straight. So I think that this has all been building. The growth of this program, the development of this program under all three coaches has been tremendous. And the standard of success, the tradition of the success has always led to getting over that hurdle of winning the national championship. So in terms of maintaining that standard, I don't think it's changed. The expectation has always been to be the best at Penn State, and we see that across all 31 programs. We finally got over that hurdle, and so the next challenge is to maintain that success, just like women's volleyball and wrestling has done. They've given us a good blueprint for how to maintain that level. But in terms of changes in expectations, no, that's always been the expectation, is to be the best.
With the women who are gone for the U20s this year, how tough of a call is that? I realize you have a different perspective with your own history with the national program. So do you think because of that, maybe your viewpoint is different than coaches who say, we don't want you to miss the semester?
I think that the interesting part of the U20s is when we recruit these players, we recruit them through the conversations of, we will support you in all of your goals and dreams. And Nicolette was one of them in terms of many of these have aspirations of playing at the next level, whether that's World Cups or whether that's professionally. And so shame on us if we talk out of both sides of our mouths in terms of we want to help you get there, but when you do get there, we're not going to support you if it doesn't fall in our best interest. So there was never a question in my mind as to whether or not we were going to support these players. To the contrary, in the past we've supported them, and we've seen other players grow tremendously. Charlotte Williams is a great example. She might not have gotten those opportunities. Mallory Weber got opportunities her freshman year that she wouldn't have gotten otherwise, and now she's competing in the Pro League. That may not have been the case. So as a coach, I'm celebrating those opportunities, those challenges, and already this weekend, Marissa Shiva and Charlotte Williams and Nikki Dries already showed great chemistry. Again, that they may not have gotten that opportunity had the situation been any different.
Not to mention, you're getting 4 players back who will have that experience for next year's team, correct?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, our in these past including this season, our depth has grown tremendously over the last 2 years. I think even as short as 3 years ago, you didn't see the depth coming off the bench. We had wonderful team chemistry and we had great support, but in terms of player impact coming off the bench, that has grown. That was one of our strengths last year, and it already appears to be one of our strengths this year. I think our training staff and our strength staff has done a nice job working with these guys to work with their bodies and manage the minutes. But yeah, of course, getting these guys experience and then bringing them back into the fold is exciting.
You guys have had some significant contributions already from your freshman class. What's kind of made them different than your average freshman and helped them play right away?
I'll take this.
Okay. Well, being that the U20s are gone, I think that definitely we had to set the standard for those freshmen and let them know that this is your time, this is your chance, and I think that they know that and they've embraced that, and just giving them that confidence that it's their time now. I think that they've done a very good job with that.
Yeah, the impact of Grace Fisk and Amanda Dennis this weekend, and then obviously Laura Freigang coming off the bench as well. It certainly felt immediately their impact. They looked like they were seasoned veterans, I think, by the end of the weekend. So I was really impressed with the way they handled the pressure.
One more, Coach, for either one. Talk about the conference this year. What do you see coming out of the Big Ten? What would, looking ahead, be some of the real big contests this year?
Yeah, we've got again. I think it's already looking to be a really competitive season. I think obviously Wisconsin comes back with a lot of talent, and Rose Lavelle is, in my opinion, a future women's national team player. I think she's one of the best in the country. So, that road trip, Minnesota, Wisconsin, will prove to be extremely challenging for us. I think that again, a big part of the Big Ten play for us is we've got a target on our back, and we do always get their best match. So I think what we see on paper or what we see in film tends to be a little bit different than what we see when we step out on the field. And again, we embrace that challenge.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.